Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Albertans would be surprised to learn that while this year's education budget is effectively frozen, the budget that directs public money to private schools has increased by more than 5%. Factoring in for growth, the public education budget is in fact a cut that will result in larger class sizes, staff layoffs, and possible school closures on the public side, but then there is a healthy increase of public money to finance private schools. How can the Education Minister possibly justify this?
Honourable Minister of Education.
Mr. Speaker, private schools are providing kids in Alberta with great choices and great options, and they should be celebrated and not condemned. Yes, funding for private schools went up because enrollment's going up, and simply because of that, just like in the public system. In fact, we've seen a huge spike in enrollment, and 70% of the funding increases to the private schools are going to the early childhood services operators, so the pre-K. You know, I'd encourage the member to actually visit some of the private schools before writing them off as posh boarding schools like the Inner City High right here in Edmonton that serves students who are at risk of not completing high school, or ELS Special Needs Society that provides programs for children with severe disabilities. That's the face of private schools in Alberta, and we'll continue to support them.
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, given that this budget increases public money to private early childhood education by a very substantial 11.6%, how can the minister justify this generous increase to private kindergarten and early childhood education while breaking his promise to provide the option of full-day kindergarten in the public education system?
Honourable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, just let me get this straight. So the member wants us to stop funding projects like the Janus Academy in Calgary that supports autistic students who need specialized support, so the Calgary Quest School that supports kids who are too medically fragile for large public schools. What about the schools that are supported, focused on religion? No funding for them either. So just to be clear, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member supports diversity. He just doesn't want us to fund it.
Honourable members from Highlands, Norwood and Strathcona. We were doing reasonably well. And these interjections, really, let's cut them out, because each time I stand up, I take 5–10 seconds off of someone else's time. And you know that I'm trying to get more members up for questions, not fewer. Honourable member, last question. Next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To suggest that is entirely dishonest and spurious. You should include those programs in the public system. Given that this minister's decision to continue public financing of private schools while cutting public education, can the minister tell us why this sorry and deeply ironic education budget is anything but a slap in the face to students, parents and staff who rely on the public, not private, education system?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's no question this is a challenging budget for everyone. And let's be clear that there are funding cuts on envelopes and decreases to envelopes to the public system and the private system. The increases that are going into the public system and the increases in the private system are driven by the same thing, and it's simply enrollment increases. You know, Mr. Speaker, I think where we disagree is we both respect diversity. It's just they don't believe we should fund it. They respect diversity as long as everyone is getting the same education. Well, that's not diversity, Mr. Speaker. Every child's different, and we need to provide different options and choices for different children.
Here, here. Honourable member.